As the suppression continues, Senturk steps forward, glaring down at Seo-woon and declaring that his luck ends here. The three enemies, Senturk, Garen, and Jurawana, now stand united, surrounding Seo-woon from higher ground. Frustrated and cornered, Seo-woon curses to himself. He had been just one step away from surviving, only for the worst possible thing to happen, teaming. But he quickly recalls a strategy. The fastest way to break up a team is to force a situation where they have no choice but to betray each other. He tries to study them more closely, but can't determine their motives. None of them are familiar to him. He's never seen any of these players before, which only adds to the tension. Then, Garen runs down eagerly and bows before Senturk, calling him Your Majesty, and expressing what an honor it is to meet him. Annoyed, Senturk gazes at him and scoffs, questioning how a mere black mage dares to speak to a king. Garen quickly backpedals, laughing nervously as he apologizes. He says that in this place, status doesn't matter. What matters is something more valuable than rank. Hearing that, Seo-woon starts to suspect something. When Garen suggests that cooperating with a scoundrel is still worth it if it leads to better rewards, Seo-woon's eyes widen. This wasn't a planned team? It seems the alliance between them might not be so solid after all. Senturk turns to Garen and tells him to deal with Seo-woon's stealth. Garen agrees with a confident smirk, saying it'll just be a piece of cake for him. With that, Garen lifts his hand as it begins to glow with bright golden light. The light bursts outward like a flare. Seo-woon winces at the intense light and gasps in shock, wondering what kind of magic it is. Garen then launches the blinding orb into the sky, illuminating the entire field. He declares that now, there's no darkness for Seo-woon to hide in. Senturk reacts with amusement, noting that Garen is smarter than he thought, impressed by how cleverly he used his magic. Meanwhile, Seo-woon squints against the light, shocked. He realizes that this tactic completely counters his cloak. The cloak of stealth only works in darkness, meaning it wasn't without weaknesses after all. After a moment, Garen suddenly steps forward and begins speaking casually. He says he wanted to thank Nam Sa-gwang for killing Escrow, someone who had been a thorn in his side. Even though he never got the chance to say it, Garen shrugs it off, accepting that this is just how things work here. Then, with a wide grin, he tells Seo-woon that in the name of the great demon lord, it's time for him to die too. Immediately after, Garen raises his hand again and summons a torrent of swirling dark energy. The ground cracks beneath him as he unleashes his skill, Chaos Blade, Dark Blade Storm, an overwhelming burst of violet mana blades spiraling in every direction. Watching the spell build up, Seo-woon quickly assesses the situation. From experience, he knows mages are vulnerable in close combat. However, he also realizes that getting too close could put him at risk of being swept up in the spell's full power. Even so, he concludes that if he charges in, it may interrupt the casting. Determined, Seo-woon charges forward without hesitation, racing headlong into the swirling chaos. He commits to a direct attack strategy. Ultra-close combat, no matter what. Garen hurls his spell towards Seo-woon while yelling in frustration, calling him a foolish brute and demanding he just die. The magic whirls violently, cutting through everything in its path as it slams into Seo-woon. Even as the dark blades tear into him, Seo-woon focuses his internal energy, trying to circulate it throughout his body to reduce the damage. Through the pain, he keeps pushing forward, determined to break through and close the distance. But the onslaught is too strong. Seo-woon is torn by the storm of blades, blood scattering through the air as his body takes a direct hit. His cloak of stealth shreds under the impact, triggering a system alert that it has been damaged and will no longer function until repaired. As he stumbles from the assault, Seo-woon realizes his internal energy barrier is breaking down, and now, even the cloak is destroyed. From a distance, Garen watches the scene and assumes Seo Woon has been completely shredded by the storm, certain there's nothing left of him. But just as the storm stills, Garen is shocked, his eyes widening as he hears Seo Woon shout the name of his hidden technique, Severing Fist, Chapter 1. Garen's face twists in shock as the counterattack begins. With a fierce burst of energy, Seo Woon delivers his devastating martial arts technique, Straight Cut Fist. Gairon, still frozen in shock from what just happened, is unable to react. Even while bleeding all over, Seo Woon continues to dash forward, determined to complete his martial arts assault. Garen mocks him as a foolish brat and declares there's no way he can win, urging him to give up. Then, raising his hand again, he summons another dark spell. Chaos Deadman Hands. Touch of the Dead. Dark purple hands erupt from the ground, reaching up to crush and restrain Seo Woon. The powerful undead magic crashes down, shaking the earth. Despite the danger, Seo Woon instantly senses the difference. This mage is on a completely different level than any he's faced before. Gritting his teeth, he tightens his fists and prepares to break through. Without hesitation, Seo Woon activates another technique, Spirit Illusion Steps. As the deadly hands close in, his form begins to blur, creating phantom images to deceive the enemy. Garen watches in disbelief as multiple images of Seo Woon scatter, weaving through the chaos and slipping past the crushing grip of the hands. He then yells out, stunned, saying he thought Seo Woon only threw punches, never expecting him to use illusion magic as well. He admits that Seo Woon actually has some troublesome tricks up his sleeve. Meanwhile, Seo Woon surges forward, wounded but unwavering. With a roar of confidence, he declares that his victory is now complete and charges at Garen for the final blow. Just as Garen raises a hand and tries to cast a barrier in panic, another voice cuts through. From a distance, Senturk calmly mutters, "Piercing Aura," calling out his spell as he prepares a sneak attack. A golden flash follows as Senturk appears behind Garen and pierces straight through his back. Blood sprays out, and Garen's body stiffens in disbelief. As the attack lands, Garen turns with wide eyes, horrified. He struggles to speak, questioning what just happened and how someone who calls himself king could do something so vile. With cold conviction, Senturk replies without hesitation. There is no greater justification than victory. He ends by saying he never agreed to collaborate with a wretch like Gairon in the first place, dismissing the accusation of betrayal entirely. Senruruku calmly states that he's thankful for the help in eliminating a nuisance. The system then pops up. Senruruku defeated Chiron, killed with swordsmanship. From a distance, Zurikana hears the remark and responds with mild confusion, realizing the situation has now narrowed down to just the two of them. With a serious tone, Senruruku calls Zurikana the divine archer and notes that Gairon had long been a thorn in their army's side. He also finds it curious how things have turned into a one-on-one duel with him. But Zurikana, unfazed, smiles and remarks that it doesn't seem like their duel is about to happen just yet. Suddenly, Senruruku's expression tightens in confusion as he senses something off. He turns and is shocked to find Seo Woon, still bloodied and battered, rising again right behind him. Without giving Senruruku a chance to react, Seo Woon lunges forward and delivers a heavy punch straight to his gut, his attack charged with energy as it strikes with full force and intensity. With that brutal strike, Senruruku's body twirls around like a tornado. After that, Senruruku is thrown to the far end of the cliff below Zurikana. His body crashes into the cliff wall, causing stones and debris to scatter all around. From the edge of the clearing, Seo Woon struggles to catch his breath, crouched and exhausted. As the smoke clears, he sees the remaining figures and mutters with relief that he's finally made it to the top two. Zurokana, still standing on the rock, remarks that he thought Seo-woon had been killed by Senruruku's blade, but realizes now that it was only an illusion. Still defiant, Seo-woon glares upward and demands Zurokana stop spouting nonsense and come at him already. But Zurokana simply smiles and wonders aloud why everyone's always in such a rush. He points out that, based on the situation, it seems like Seo-woon has business with the other man before he takes his turn. Down below, Senruruku rises again, furious and disoriented. He growls that the trick Seo-woon used was unpleasant, swearing that he clearly saw the hit land. Looking at the damage to his armor, he's forced to admit that the power required to break through something crafted by a Carson master is impressive. But before he can say more, Seo-woon, now shirtless, beaten, but burning with resolve, cuts in sharply. He tells them both to stop talking and just come at him already, asking whether they'll attack one at a time or together. In response, Senruruku scowls darkly and says Seo-woon will regret forcing him to give his best. His expression shifts as golden energy begins to build, signaling that he's finally going to unleash his full strength. And in an instant, using his technique, Senruruku suddenly vanishes. Seo-woon's eyes widen in shock as he tries to react, but Senruruku's sudden burst of speed is overwhelming. Before he can counter, the enemy closes the gap instantly and thrusts his sword straight through Seo-woon's shoulder, blood splattering from the impact. As Seo-woon reels from the strike, Senruruku confidently declares that he's unmatched in terms of speed. He explains that he aimed precisely at the ligaments, disabling the use of Seo-woon's arm. Knowing that Seo-woon's strange technique seems to require both hands, he sees this as a major advantage. Seo-woon grits his teeth, stunned by the realization that his opponent isn't a strength-type fighter after all. The man's speed is so overwhelming that even sensing his ki proves difficult. Clutching his bleeding wound, Seo-woon refuses to accept defeat, questioning how he managed to survive this far if he's just going to lose like this. But with renewed resolve, Seo-woon pushes through the pain. He tells himself it's still too early to give up and places his trust in the internal energy coursing through him. As he regathers strength, blue energy surges from his core, crackling with power. Looking at him, Senruruku is enraged and can't believe what just happened to his rapier. Seo-woon, still gripping the broken weapon, braces himself to endure the pain and unleash his next attack. He then shouts the name of his technique, Black Annihilation Hand. Without pause, he follows through with the move. With a blast of energy-infused force, he strikes Senruruku across the face, shouting Black Annihilation Hand again. The attack lands cleanly, blood bursting from the impact. Senruruku staggers back, clutching his face in rage. Enraged by the wound, he yells at Seo-woon for daring to damage his face, seething with fury. Yet Seo-woon doesn't back down. He quickly pulls out a healing scroll and begins healing himself. Kneeling as the scroll restores his body, Seo-woon catches his breath. Watching him recover, Senruruku narrows his eyes and mutters coldly that Seo-woon insists on struggling to the very end. He then activates a skill, Aura Blade, Formless Sword, as golden energy crackles around him and condenses into his weapon. With golden light enveloping the blade, Senruruku finally admits that forcing him to use his Aura Blade deserves recognition. His stance shifts, ready to finish the battle. Breathing heavily, Seo-woon steadies himself and mutters that he can use at least this much energy. With that, he activates Spirit Illusion Steps, his body beginning to blur and shimmer as he prepares to evade or counter once again. Unleashing a surge of power, Seo-woon activates full internal energy release, surrounding himself with multiple fast-moving afterimages. The speed and intensity of his movement overwhelm the field, giving the illusion of multiple versions of him charging in from all directions. Despite the visual confusion, Senruruku remains composed. With his aura blade drawn and glowing with golden energy, he acknowledges Seowun's ability, muttering that his opponent certainly has troublesome tricks. Their gazes lock in a tense standoff. Senruruku confidently states that no matter what happens, the victor is always him. But Seowun, undeterred, warns him that things are about to get serious, telling him to brace himself, calling him dead weight. Meanwhile, from his elevated position, Zurikana watches the escalating clash unfold. Bored and unimpressed, he yawns dramatically, grumbling for someone to hurry up and win already. This is the end of this video. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next update.